Assalamu alaikum lovelies, welcome again to my channel. I'm Abaya of Al-Hilaal Fashion, and in today's video we'll be making this simple but gorgeous open abaya. By the end of this video, you would have known how to cut this abaya with appropriate measurements, how to sew it, and how to give it a top-notch finishing just like this. You will notice that there is no visible seam on the front part of the abaya, and also how to make this beautiful slitted sleeve. So if this is something you are interested in, then stay back and watch the video till the end. To make this abaya design, you'll be needing roughly 3.5 yards of fabric. But to calculate the exact amount of fabric you'll be using individually, all you need to do is to add your shoulder allowance plus hem allowance to your original dress length. So let's assume your original dress length is 56 inches. Then you add your shoulder plus hem allowance. For example, I will personally be adding 2 inches as my allowance. So 56 inches plus 2 inches, that is 58 inches. So it is this 58 inches I will now multiply by 2, because I'll be cutting the front and back separately to get the amount of fabric I'll be using. So if I multiply 58 inches by 2, that is 116 inches. So I'll be using the total amount of 116 inches of fabric for this abaya. So how do I get this in yards? So I'll divide this 116 inches divided by 36, because a yard is 36 inches. So I have like 3.2 yards. So I can't buy 3.2 yards. Definitely I'll be buying 3.5 yards, which is 3.5 yards, to make this abaya type. Now once I've gotten my fabric ready, I'll measure my dress length, which is 56 inches, plus my seam and hem allowance 2 inches, that is 58 inches. I'll measure it and cut it out from my fabric. I'll fold it into 2 and lay it down. This will be the back side of my abaya. Then I'll repeat the same process again. Cut 56 inches plus 2 inches, fold the selvage into 2 and lay it on this one. So that will be the front side. But when laying the second one, I will make sure that it is the open part of the fabric that is on the closed part of the former one that I laid down, which means that the center back, which is the one under, will be a folded edge, but the center front, which is the fabric that I lay on the center back, will be the open side, because you know our abaya is an open abaya. Then before I align the upper fabric well with the lower one, I'll make sure I fold in 2 inches on the edge. As you can see, this is the selvage here. I'll fold in 2 inches and use my pins to hold down. So these 2 inches that I'm folding in will serve as the allowance for me to finish up the open part of the front side of the abaya. After folding that 2 inches, then I'll align the front part properly with the back side, making sure that everything is laid down properly. Then I'll start imputing my measurement. Now before I start imputing the measurement, I noticed that the upper part of this fabric is not totally straight. So I'll use my ruler to draw a straight line on the upper part. Then it is from there I'll start inputting my measurement. Hopefully this won't really affect my measurement, because you know I have an extra 2 inches. And this is not even up to an inch that I'm tracing out. So from there, I will now start inputting the measurement from the line. So I measure 3 inches for my neck wideness, and here I measured 7 inches for the depth. But later I will show you what I did, because I actually later deepened the neck depth. I realized this won't work for the type of like front part I wanted, so I changed it to I think around 11 inches. But here when I was cutting, I used 7 inches for the neck depth. So now I will measure what I have from the like midpoint of the back and front center line. I'll measure it to where the front fabric stops, because you know because I folded the front fabric with 2 inches here, it won't be as wide as what I have for the back fabric. So I'll measure what I have to that point. So what I have there is 28 inches. I will note it down. Then we want to cut the sleeve. We'll use it to calculate how long the sleeve will be. Now go to the edge of where the front fabric stops and measure 2 inches downward. Measure 2 inches down. Please ignore this checking here. I totally forgot to slant the shoulder line before I started imputing the measurement, so I'm starting again. So measure 2 inches downward, then you connect this point to your shoulder with your ruler. Now from that line also again, I will measure what I want my sleeve wideness to be. So I will measure 9 inches for the sleeve wideness. Then I will go down to after where the sleeve circumference stops, and I'll measure what I want to be the wideness of my abaya on that part. So I want mine to be 20 inches, so I'll measure 20 inches from the center, front and back, and chalk that point. Then I'll connect my line from the sleeve circumference to the point as I'm doing. Then I will go to the down part of my fabric and measure 17 inches for the wideness. This is because I don't want the down part to be as wide as the upper part. But if you want it to be the same, just measure 20 inches on the down part also and connect to the upper part. Or you can measure anything that suits your interest. So I'll connect it this way down to the upper part of the fabric. After this, we are done imputing all the necessary measurements. So the next thing is just to cut out. Please note that we'll be cutting the front neckline of the abaya only. The back part remains straight. We won't cut any parts of the back neckline. We'll leave it the way it was. Now let's cut the slitted sleeve. Don't forget what I measured from this point to the other side there was 28 inches the other time. And my original shoulder plus sleeve length is 33 inches. So 28 minus 33 inches, that is 5 inches. So we need to add 5 inches for this abaya to reach the wrist. So the 5 inches will be for the sleeve length. I'll add 1 inch seam allowance to that 5 inches. That will be 6 inches. But because I want to cut this sleeve on fold, I'll multiply it by 2. So that will be 12 inches for the sleeve length. Then for the wideness, it will be the same wideness as what we have on the sleeve of the fabric. And don't forget we have 9 inches. So 9 inches multiplied by 12, so that is 18. So I'll be cutting a fabric of 12 inches by 18 inches for the sleeve. So from the remaining pieces from the side, I'll fold it into this way. Confirm if it is up to 6 inches. Once I confirm that, then I'll fold it into 2 again. I'll fold it into 2 again and measure 9 inches. Then I'll cut it out. I'll also cut the uneven edges on this part. This is just one of the sleeves, so I'll fold another pieces of fabric and cut my second sleeve also. After cutting my sleeve, this is what I have. So the next thing now is to cut the facing for the front and back neckline. So to cut the facing for my front neckline, I will just get a pieces of fabric that has the length longer than my neck depth. I will fold it into two. Fold it into two this way and place it under my front neckline. Then I will align it very well to make sure that the facing is stopping at where the folded part of the front part of the abaya stops. You can see what I'm doing. You can see that I'm just cutting a small facing. The folded part of the front part of the abaya will cover up for the other open part of the neckline. So I'll just cut it this way, replicate what I have on the front neckline, then remove my front part of the abaya and measure 2 inches inward. So I'll measure, so the wideness of this facing will be 2 inches. Then I'll cut it out. After doing that, I'll pin it on the front part of my abaya so that I don't lose it. Then I'll cut my back neckline facing. So to cut the back neckline facing, I'll just cut a straight strap that is 2 inches or 2.5 inches wide. It depends on how wide you want it to be. Then the length will be 12 inches. So that is 12 inches by 2 or 2.5 inches for the strap. So after this, I'll just fold everything together and we'll start sewing. Now let's start sewing our abaya. So to start sewing our abaya, the first thing we work on is the front neckline and the front opening of our abaya. So I already went ahead to overlock the edge of the allowance I put on the front part of the abaya. As you can see that it is now overlocked. So the positive side of the abaya is presently facing up. So I'll fold in that 2 inches allowance inward this way. Then I'll place the facing, my neckline facing, I'll place it on it. Then I will go to my machine to sew from the upper part down to the down part of it. But because I told you earlier that this 7 inches I use for the depth of the front part is too shallow, we are going to increase the deepness of the front depth to about 11 inches. So I placed the other parts of the abaya, we have two sides, the left and the right part of the front abaya. I placed them on each other again, then measure in 4 inches because the depth was previously 7 inches. So by adding this 4 inches, I've increased the depth to 11 inches. Then I'll use my ruler to connect again to the upper part of the neckline. So what I'll do now is just to sew down to my new neck depth. Then after sewing, this is what I have. So this is what I have on the neckline now. So I'll fold it into the negative part. You can see what I have. Fold it into the negative part, and this is what I will have. Then I will go now to my ironing board and give that front part a good press. While ironing, I will also make sure that I add my hemming web in between the facing and the main fabric. So I will cut a long strap of my hemming web. I will double it this way, then put it in between the facing and the main fabric as I iron. So this is how I'll place it, then I'll iron it. After ironing, this is what the outcome is. You can see it's looking nice and neat. So now I'll be joining this front part with my back side of the abaya. Now to join the shoulders, I will lay the front side down this way, then place the back side of the abaya on it, and I will join from the sleeve side. So I'll join it from the sleeve side down to the shoulder side. Then I'll repeat the same process for the other side of the abaya also. After joining the shoulders, I also went ahead to overlock the edge, and this is what I have. You can see how it is. So the next thing now is to finish up the back neckline also. To do that, I'll fold in my back neckline this way to locate the midpoint. Once I locate the midpoint, I'll use my chalk to chalk that midpoint this way. Then I'll take my strap. I make sure that I use my iron to make a crease on the midpoint of the strap also. So now on this midpoint, I'll fix my brand tag. After fixing my brand tag, this is what I have on. You can see it is exactly on the midpoint. Now place the midpoint of the strap directly on the midpoint of my neckline, and I will sew down on my machine from one end to another. But while sewing, I will make sure that I fold the edge. So you fold the edge on the left and also fold the edge on the right. Then I will sew down and show you what the outcome is. So after sewing, this is what I have. So now what I'll do now is to fold it inward to the negative part this way and stitch it down on my machine. So I'll sew from this end down to the other edge like that, and I'll show you what the outcome is. You can see it's so neat and already made standard. So if you want to do your abaya to sell, this is just a perfect way to finish up your neckline. So now I'll be joining the sides of the abaya. So I'll go to my machine now, fold you can see the sleeve part into two this way. Then I will join on the right side and also on the left side of the abaya. So after joining, I also went ahead to overlock the raw edges on the inside part of the abaya, and this is what I have. So the next thing now is to fix the sleeve. So to do that, I'll measure what I have left on the sleeve circumference. So I have 8 inches wideness when I measured it, which means that when we multiply it by 2, that is 16 inches. So my sleeve, I will make sure I finish it up in a way that the wideness I will get after finishing it up will be 16 inches also. So I'll measure 8 inches, I will chalk it, then open it up and measure 8 inches on the other side also. Then I will go to my machine and sew it. So when I sew, it will also be on fold this way. You can see the way I'm doing it. I will sew it on the left side and also sew it on the right side. So after sewing the sleeve, this is what I have. I turned it over to the positive side and also make a crease on the midpoint of the sleeve. So you can see how the sleeve is. So what I'll be doing now is that it is the folded edge, the point where I made the crease, that will be on the side of my abaya, while the open part will be on the shoulder side. You know, we have to join in on the sleeve side of the abaya. We have the joining on the shoulder and we also have the joining on the side. So it is the folded part of the sleeve that will be on the side part of the abaya, while the open part of the sleeve will be on the shoulder part of the abaya to get the slit effect of the sleeve. So to make it easier for me, I'll use my pins to hold down. So this is the shoulder side of the sleeve. I'll start pinning the sleeve to the abaya from the shoulder side. So you can see the way I made sure that I place it directly on that shoulder joining. Use my pin to hold down. And I'll repeat the process until I've completely attached the sleeve to the abaya. You can see what I have after doing that. So you must make sure that the sleeve meets directly on that joining point on the abaya. So this is what we have. Then when we flip it over, we have something like this. So now I'll go to my machine and use my machine to sew down all those spots that I use my pins to hold down. After joining, this is what I have. I also went ahead to overlock that edge. You can see how neat it is. This is very important. So the next thing I'll be doing is to fix the other sleeve and hem the down part of my abaya. After hemming, I also give it a good press and this is what I have. It's looking beautiful, right? Alhamdulillah. If you watched this video to this extent and you've not subscribed to my channel, this is the best time to do so. Let me know what you think about this abaya in the comment section. If you also have any question, you can ask me in the comment section. See you in my next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.